Ahead and call to order the City of Milton Common Council agenda, or a meeting for this evening, Wednesday, April 8th, 2015 at 7 o'clock p.m. And I'll ask for confirmation of the appropriate meeting notice.
The meeting was noticed at Milton City Hall, the Piggly Wiggly, and Dave's Ace Hardware.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 2 is public comments regarding items which can be affected by council action. Have we had any speakers register? We have one registered speaker, Anna DePasquale of 418 West Madison Avenue. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, just so everybody, Anna and I have spoken on several occasions. She's asking for a conditional use permit for her home, for a home occupancy, which currently the ordinances do not permit. So, in our discussions, in essence, she's requesting to be placed on an agenda for discussion. That could either be Plan Commission or City Council. I know that at the Plan Commission level, we've looked at reevaluating those ordinances. And we've talked about that, and this could be an opportunity as well to look at that conditional use permit. But I think ultimately, it'd be the council's purview to have this on a future agenda item or how it would like to be handled. We really can't make that decision tonight because it's not on the agenda. But I think people understand what Anna's asking for, and I told her that this would be an opportunity for her to come and speak, and if people didn't have the information that she has provided in the past, she could provide it tonight. So this was kind of our a way of addressing the council all at once.
So tonight you can make your public comment here, but the council can't engage in a debate.
I really don't need to. Oh, geez, I really don't need to. I just pretty much, because so much time had lapsed again, I just wanted to remind people that yes, I am still here, and I would like to open up that discussion again. And could I be put on the agenda for next month?
We can make that motion in general items, can't we? Or we can't make it now, but we could make it in general items, correct?
Where would it be most appropriately addressed? At Plan Commission or?
I guess I'm looking to Al for that.
I would think because the Plan Commission has asked for these ordinances to be reviewed, it makes some sense that maybe we start at the Plan Commission, and we have a Plan Commission meeting next week, so we could talk about those items, or we could begin this discussion next week. And if the Plan Commission felt that it had some merit, they could direct staff at that point then to review the conditional use permit for home occupancies and see if there's some level of compromise that we could make in this specific situation. But that way we could address it as soon as, let's say, 7 days from now.
Does the Plan Commission have the jurisdiction to change those bylaws? I thought it was only the council.
No, the Plan Commission wouldn't be the final authority to amend the ordinances.
Okay.
But they would be the ones who would make their recommendation to the City Council.
Okay.
Typically, the council could supersede that and make their own, make their own stance. But this would be an opportunity for that body who's already kind of active in this review.
No, that's fine. However you want me to
Yep.
proceed is fine.
If someone would like to make a motion to add this to the Plan Commission agenda next week, that would be appropriate.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
That's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So we'll have that on next week's agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna, that's 5 o'clock next week, Wednesday.
So tonight.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 3, which is presentations. And I'm to read a proclamation tonight regarding and remembering National Former POW Recognition Day. City of Milton, a proclamation, National Former POW Recognition Day. Whereas April 9th marks the 73rd anniversary of the surrender of U.S. forces on Bataan in the Philippine Islands, and whereas that event included Company A, 192nd Tank Battalion, 99 men from Janesville, Rock County, and other parts of southern Wisconsin, and whereas after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on 7th December 1941, 8th December in the Philippines, the Tank Battalion participated in the fighting withdrawal into the Bataan Peninsula. With no hope of reinforcement, they resisted for 4 months until malnourishment, disease, and combat forced them into surrendering. 2 members were killed, Walter Wright and Ivan Wilmer. The Bataan Death March followed. Kenneth Bloomfield died on this 100-kilometer forced march. And whereas they spent the war in POW camps, of the 99 men, 64 did not come home. Those that were from the city of Milton were Harold Fanning, Paul Klitschke, Harold Madison, Ralph Madison, James Minogue, Marvel Peterson, James Schultz, and Kenneth Squird. The last survivor died in 2009. And whereas the Philippines marked the day as the national holiday called Day of Valor. In the United States of America, it is designated as National Former POW Recognition Day and will be commemorated at the Andersonville National Park in Georgia. In New Mexico, commemoration is focused in Las Cruces. New Mexico had the largest coastal artillery unit that also surrendered in the Philippines. Now therefore, I, Brett J. Frazier, Mayor of the City of Milton, do hereby proclaim April 9th, 2015 as National Former POW Recognition Day in the City of Milton, and I call upon the citizens to observe this day of remembrance by honoring all American prisoners of war, our service members, and our veterans. If the council has any comments, you can certainly make them at this point.
Thank you for that declaration, Mayor. And I would also like to add that we are doing a POW monument out at Veterans Park. It's one of the items that we're fundraising for.
Any other? All right, thank you very much. Agenda item 4 is the approval of tonight's consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Clark, second by Verwink. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 5 is new business. 5A is discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 2015-4, a resolution to create wards 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Okay, this is actually just kind of cleanup work. We have had 6 parcels of property that were formerly part of the town of Milton annexed into the city of Milton. Those parcels are actually located in Rock County Supervisory District 4, whereas the rest of this city is in Rock County Supervisory District 5. And 2 supervisory districts cannot be represented at the same ward. So that means these parcels need to be made wards of their own. So that's what this is doing. We're going to have wards 9, 10, 11, 12, and it doesn't affect anybody. There are no voters living there.
Do you have a map that shows where this is? I mean, it's nice to have a description, but it doesn't compute.
I actually do, just because the ward map should still be in back from the election yesterday. Hopefully.
I'm confused.
Well done. Any discussion or questions from the council? Okay, recommended action is to approve the resolution. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
So motion by Welch, second by Verwink. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 5B is discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 404, amending annexation ordinance 381 of August 13th, 2013, the Bellardi Family Investments LLC.
Okay, so when we originally annexed the land into the city of Milton, we added it to an existing ward, which obviously we couldn't do. And so we're correcting that now, and we're changing this particular annexation ordinance to make it part of Ward 9 instead.
Questions? All right, we've got a few of these, so we'll get good at them by the end. So tonight, the recommended action would be to approve the ordinance. I assume it would be okay to approve first reading, waive second and third, move to adopt. Is there a motion to that effect?
Second.
Motion by Adams, second by Lauder. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 5C, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 405, amending annexation ordinance 391 of March 18th, 2014, Pierce Farms Incorporated.
So this one is changing the ordinance to make it part of Ward 11 instead.
Do we have a motion on this one?
So moved.
We have a motion by Roosh and second by Clark to approve the first reading, waive second and third, and move to adopt. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 5D, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 406, amending annexation ordinance 398 of July 15th, 2014, Anthony Hickey.
All right, so the property that was annexed from Anthony Hickey, we would like to change and make part of Ward 12 instead.
Recommended action is to approve first reading, waive second and third, and move to adopt.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Verwink, second by Clark. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. See how good we got at that? Agenda item 5E is discussion and possible action regarding an agreement for services for a police chief recruitment and selection process with Moffitt and Associates,
And establish a salary range.
and establish a salary range.
On March 19th, the Police Commission met to talk about the police chief recruitment and selection process. At that time, they had selected Moffitt and Associates to provide that service to the city of Milton. Moffitt and Associates then provided us with a service agreement or contract of services to provide that police recruitment and selection process. Before you this evening is that service agreement for your review and approval. Mr. Bob Roberts from Moffitt and Associates is here tonight to answer any questions specifically regarding that agreement or the process in general. Additionally, as part of this item, Moffitt and Associates is recommending a change to the salary range for the police chief position to $75,000 to $82,000. And Mr. Roberts would also be available for questions on that item. They can be handled separately or together, however the council sees fit. But if you have questions specific to that contract, Mr. Roberts is here. We had a conference call with Mr. Roberts, the mayor, myself, Mr. Ed Moffitt, and Jerry Turner from the Police Commission to discuss this service agreement. And at the conclusion of that call, everybody was satisfied with the service agreement that is in hand. But it's ultimately the City Council's decision to approve that, to approve the expenditure of the funds in order to have that contract executed in the sum of $15,500.
Questions from the council?
Is there anything significantly different in this process than the process you've used in the past with us?
We added an element to the process that allows for input from inside the department prior to the commission interviews. The candidates would be exposed to people inside the agency in a peer review format. They'd also have department heads have an opportunity to review the finalists. So those are the pieces that we added in the hopes that we can get a rather rounded view of everyone that would be interacting with your new chief.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
So other than the contract, are there questions about the salary range recommendation as well? Because that would need to be set tonight as well as part of this. So Moffitt and Associates can kind of hit the ground running tomorrow with their recruitment and put together an advertisement as part of this process, advertising that new range, or if the council would like to see that range stay the same, that again is the council's discretion in this recruitment process.
I actually have a question about what some of the other municipalities do that you're working with, because we previously did have our salaries set up with low range to high range. But I'm just kind of wondering, is there a lot of other people out there that do that?
Where they provide, whoa, that's great volume, particularly with my voice. I feel like I should be on radio right now. They typically provide a range from bottom to the top, and then depending upon the qualifications of the candidate, you will place that candidate with an offer somewhere in that range. Most communities that we work with have that prescribed range. They give it to us before we start the recruitment. In this case, we've recommended a range to you that I think allows you to see a more viable group of candidates that have a minimum of bachelor's degree, have supervision experience, typically have advanced management degrees, have been to what we call a 10-week command school or an 8-week command school, and are looking in their career to make a move into a community like this, where you can expect that they're going to bring with them a number of experiences that lower risk and liability and allow them to be a good job fit in the community. It was a long answer to a short question, but I want to make sure I covered it.
Could we add a preference to have a master's degree? Not necessarily a requirement, but could we have that as a preference?
The discussion that we had with the commission was that a minimum degree would be a bachelor's with preference given to a master's degree. Also preferential qualifications for people that had advanced management degrees.
Okay, so you're saying that's in there?
It's in there,
All right,
yeah.
thanks.
I actually have a copy of the draft with me that I was going to share with Al after the meeting. And it has the range that we recommended built in it, but that can be modified.
Thoughts from the council on the salary range?
One thing that I will point out is handed out a memo to the council here today based on Mr. Roberts' recommendation showing the recommended salary range and the current salary for the chief, as well as the lieutenants who are served directly under the chief, as well as our most senior officer, and then what the union contract would allow up to for existing unionized officers. So you can see how that new range would play in with the existing workforce and those represented under that union contract. You know, one thing that I will point out that isn't necessarily needs to be addressed this evening, and it really can't be addressed this evening, is that same topic of conversation that many departments face, is that of wage compression with their unionized workforce versus their leadership team. That is an issue that we will have to address at some point here in the city of Milton with our police department staff. But again, we don't need to address that tonight, but it is something that I think I wanted to include in this memo so folks can see. And what I mean when I say that is if you look at the information provided, a contract employee with 20 years of service would actually make more than the lieutenants currently do. We don't have anybody at that wage rate yet, but that is a possibility at sometime in the near future. So I think that's just important to note when talking about the salary range for the chief as well.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, recommended action today would be to approve the funding for this agreement and to get started with the salary range as recommended.
I will second.
We have a motion by Adams, second by Clark. You had something to add? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you for your
Thank you very
time. I
much.
appreciate being here and being involved. Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 5F is discussion and possible action regarding a change in ordinance 2-688, paragraph 2. Chief.
This would be a change in the ordinance on the number of inspections that have to be done each year. Right now, we're required to do all the inspections twice a year. First before the end of June, and then the second before the end of December, they have to be completed. The state has since developed a revision to that rule that allows us to look at reducing the number of inspections done for non-hazardous occupancies. So any occupancy that would be considered hazardous, having a sprinkler system or an alarm system, would still need 2 inspections twice a year. And any business that we deem to be a non-hazard would be available for a single inspection once a year. And this does a couple of different things. Number one, it saves us some fuel money and some time that is needed to do those inspections. And the other part of it would be certainly an easier time for our business owners. It's not that we don't get good cooperation, but when we do come in the door, sometimes we have to have somebody go with us, and that creates a difficulty at times for our business owners. So what we would like to do is propose that we redo the ordinance, allow the single inspections for those non-hazardous occupancies.
Questions or comments from the council?
I have a couple of questions. One of the things that I was wondering that I noticed in here was with the rental properties. Do we go directly to the landlords, or do we go to the tenants? Because a lot of our businesses are actually tenants versus the owners of those buildings, and they're older buildings.
In most cases, we give it to the tenant, who then we anticipate will give it to the owner to get the work done. However, if there are times when the tenant either has not cooperated or we're running into a problem, that we would go then directly to the landlord and go from there. When we talk about rental properties, most of the time with our landlord tenants, we usually find that the tenant does give the order to the landlord, so they are made aware of it.
And what about the apartments?
Well, the apartments they're mostly just the common areas that we can go into. We can't go into individual apartments. In some cases, in most cases, we leave it with the on-site manager or the on-site person. If that's not available, then we would send it directly to the landlord or the owner of the property.
So we don't go into the individual apartments? I mean, like, what do you do over here to the 96 unit? Because there is no common area there.
The only thing we can do is look at the entrances that go in, which would be a common area there, but other than that, we're not able to inspect those.
Is that the law?
Yes. We can't go into a tenant's area.
Wow. That's kind of scary, especially in an apartment complex like that one.
Further comments or questions? Okay, then recommended action tonight would be to approve ordinance, change to ordinance 407. To approve ordinance 407, waive second and third reading, and move to adopt.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Clark, second by Verwink. Any further discussion?
Oh, I do have a question though. If we're reducing our calls, then does that mean that we're losing more of our 2%? Or it's gonna just stay the same?
It will stay the same. That's what was allowed under the state rule, that we keep the same 2% dues, we just are allowed to reduce the number of inspections.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 6 is general items. Our next meeting is Tuesday, April 21st. That will be the swearing in of new officials. That meeting is at 7 o'clock p.m. Any other general items from the council?
I would just like to remind everyone, there are a lot of people that are out there walking and riding bicycles, and it's kind of scary. I see a lot of drivers that are driving very fast when there's pedestrians out there, so I just want to remind everyone to please slow down and pay attention.
It's a good reminder. Next up is agenda item 7, mayor and alderpersons reports. Any alderpersons reports?
I just want to thank everybody in the council and all the department heads and Attorney Schrader for the great 4 years that I've been alderperson. I've enjoyed these meetings with you guys and talking, and hopefully someday I'll be back. Maybe after 10 years when Maxine doesn't run anymore.
Other alderpersons reports.
Don, I just want to thank you for all your service and all the extra effort that you've put in and all the great things that Parks and Rec has been doing over the years. And I'm glad that you're still going to stay involved, and we'll still be able to call you up and harass you a little bit.
Other alderpersons reports? Okay, I have a few quick things. One item, I have asked staff to look into the possibility of us contracting as a city for forestry services with the city of Beloit, who does have a forester on staff. Every handful of years, something comes through and wipes out a bunch of trees, and we're not big enough to have a full-time forester, but we do have enough trees and parks that we should be giving the DPW folks a little more tools in order to maintain the forestry here in the city. So Mr. Hewlick will be looking into that, and he'll report to a future council on that matter. Second is, you may have seen, you may not have, today is the first of what will be 8 days named in honor of schools in the school district of Milton. Today was Milton East, which I'm told went over pretty well at Milton East. Everyone got to see the proclamation, which my kids informed me was very boring. But they appreciated it at school. They got to go in the gym. Tomorrow is Consolidated, which is not a school in the city of Milton, but we're honoring all the schools in the district. Our school system is one of the great selling points of our city as a place to live, as a place to work, as a place to grow up. Those of us who grew up here know all the great memories we have in those facilities. So yes, today was Milton East, tomorrow's Consolidated, and that will continue for 7 more days after today with a day in honor of each school. So watch Facebook, watch, I don't know if the Courier is publishing it, but certainly check it out and honor each of those schools as those days go by. Second, I want to thank the staff for another smooth election here in the city of Milton. We had pathetic turnout in the grand scheme of things, but very good turnout compared to the way it is in other communities. We had 29% or so. 29% of people felt like it was an important enough thing to come out and decide who gets to spend their tax dollars every year. Good for the county, but certainly something to probably be ashamed of as a society. That said, the people who are elected to the positions coming in are extremely qualified, are going to do a great job. And while some of us have decided that we have other things to do with our time and other ways to help the community, certainly the folks who are coming in serving as mayor and Maxine coming back and serving on the council, will do an exceptional job representing the city, as they always have done. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this group. It'll be sad to not be a part of it anymore. I'll have a message going out on Facebook here in a couple weeks when I'm leaving office, but tonight I just want to say thank you to all of you for the 6 years of friendship and being colleagues. And we'll move on to staff reports. City Administrator.
Thank you. I would echo some of those, many of those comments. In my short time here, 7 months almost, it's been a pleasure to work with those folks who are leaving the council and the mayor's seat, and wish you luck in your future endeavors, in your golf game especially. Breaks 80 this morning, and it's only 40 degrees outside, so that's pretty good, so well done. But thank you all for for the time you got to share, we got to share with us. Yeah, and that was on 18. Yeah. So, on a business note, I just wanted to provide an update, as I did a couple of weeks ago, about the County M discussions. We received notice from the developer, Mr. Watson, I believe it was last week, that he was ceasing all discussions about his development proposal in the city of Milton, and that he was, in essence, canceling his agreement with the city of Milton to pay for our attorney's fees. In that case, we had contracted with Mr. Attorney Dale Thorpe. He still would be our attorney that would represent us in these proceedings, unless the council chooses otherwise. But at this time, any work that he does for the city in this matter would be on the city's dime. So that's something that we would want to consider if we wanted to have additional discussions about that topic. But at this time, Mr. Watson has made it pretty clear that he is no longer pursuing the interchange or his development project at County M and I-90 here in the city of Milton and the town of Milton. So from the business end, that's what I have. But thank you again, Council President Verwink and Mayor Frazier, for your time. And we still got 13 days, though.
Yeah, almost 12. Director of Public Works.
Okay, remember the week of April 22nd is the Earth Day week, where there's gonna be some cleanup going around town in the downtowns, and some volunteers are gonna help do some things in the parks and some city areas. Yard waste and brush are still being collected at the curb. And April 16th is the day that we clean up the cemetery. So if people have items out there, you know, some older wreaths and stuff, they should go and get them before that, because we collect the older items and dispose of them. We do that every year, the 16th of April.
Great, thank you very much. Chief of the Police Department.
We have an officer attending crisis intervention training next week. It's a week-long course, and it's to help officers understand and deal with people with mental illness, and hopefully that 40-hour course will give this officer a great understanding of mental illness and dealing with those people, and he will bring that training back to the rest of the police officers. And that is one of the biggest issues we face at the police department, is mental illness. Frequent flyers and a lot of people that need a lot of attention from us, so we're hoping that this will help us in our dealings with them.
Thank you very much, Chief. Director of the Library. Chief of the Joint Fire Department.
We participated with the DPW in the last couple of weeks doing some burning, helping them clear off some of their land. And the commission meeting is next Wednesday night, the 15th, and that is here at the City Hall.
Thank you very much. City Clerk, Deputy Treasurer.
Well, I guess my biggest news is obviously we had an election yesterday. We did get 962 voters, which was almost 50% more than the state was projecting. So I thought it was a pretty good turnout. I was happy with it. Went really smoothly. The new tabulator worked really well. Got a lot of good feedback on it, so it was good.
Finance Director.
Last week, the city had its annual financial audit, and everything was in very good shape. Should be getting the financial statements late May, early June, with a clean opinion, so that's good.
Excellent, thank you very much. Agenda item 16 is going to be a closed session item.
They can be read together, and you can have, normally that would be the case. You'd read them together and have a closed session under both of those, yes.
Nothing was sent to the city, and we're not gonna read off a Facebook page, here today. Certainly that can be acknowledged at the next meeting if we have the notification of that, but that's not an agenda item that I have here. Yeah, certainly the council can do something at the next meeting, but we didn't have that information, there's no agenda item for it. So tonight we have a closed session, two closed session items. President Verwink, I'll ask you to read the closed session motion. Yeah.
Consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.85(1)(c), considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The second item, consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851(f), considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons, which, if discussed in any public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to as such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations.
That's a motion. Is there a second? Motion and a second.
And just to clarify the
Yep.
motion, then it also then includes the items noticed on 16A and 17A, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second to convene into closed session. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.